the Kwara State Task Force on Fuel Scarcity has started the enforcement of small distribution of petroleum products across the state. The team, led by the State Deputy Governor Kayode Alabi, visited several filling stations in Ilorin metropolis to enforce fuel supply. Major filling stations that were not dispensing fuel to the satisfaction of motorists and motorcyclists were directed to do so with immediate effect under close supervision. The task force also ensured that filling stations that hoarded fuel start dispensing.
Well, like Tolu said, we do have people joining us tonight, and let's get straight into it. In the studio, we do have Yemi Adetunji. He is the Executive Vice President downstream at the NNPC Limited. And from our Lagos studio, we do have Cardoso, who is in charge of the Southwest region of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program. And of course, first place to kick off this conversation, I'm going to start with you, Yemi, from the NNPC point. Talk to us. This incessant fuel scarcity and the queues all across the country, what exactly is responsible?
Thank you very much. Good evening, all Nigerians. And first of all, like my GCO said for a number of times, we apologize to Nigerians for the fuel scarcity. Having said that, the issue is distribution. We do have enough supply of petroleum, PMS, or otherwise called petrol. You did mention 1.3 billion liters in your opening remarks. That was a couple of days back. As of today, we have 1.6 billion liters of petrol in the country, which is equivalent to about 27 days of sufficiency of the product. So with 27 days, we can supply Nigeria with enough adequate petrol for the next, even if we don't import any 1 liter, going forward. But that's not the case. We do import on a daily basis. And by the end of this month of February, we expect to have about 2 billion liters of petrol in the country's stock. That's daily stock, which is about 33 days of sufficiency. So once we clear the issue of supply, which you said is not the problem we have, the problem is distribution. And we have tried to discuss distribution, all the challenges, all the factors around distribution, in a number of times. But we are not folding our arms, to look at that. We are doing something on all the factors affecting distribution challenges in the country. So first of all, the issue of roads, which we are tackling. On the back of the Executive Order 007, signed by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, phase 1 of the roads at NNPC has gotten the approval at FEC is for about 621 billion naira. To tackle 21 roads in the country, which are very critical to distribution of petroleum products in the country. A phase 2 of the roads also was approved recently by FEC as well, totaling about 1.9 trillion naira, which will cover about 44 projects in the country. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, we have the issue of trucks, which is also being managed, by the various players in the industry. Trucks have also been impacted by the poor state of our roads. This truck stock in the country is also dwindling. But again, the industry players are coming together and are also improving and buying new trucks. As of yesterday, on Friday, when there was a meeting of stakeholders in Lagos, they did commit to additional 900 trucks, to be imported into the country. 200 of that actually have come into the country and have also been put on the road. There are also a number of factors, which again we mentioned, but I just stop at that, for now. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, well, this is not the first time that we're being promised that fuel scarcity will come to an end. What makes you think Nigerians will take that promise seriously this time around, even though you've told us there's supply?
Thank you very much. Again, about 2 weeks ago, 31st of January this year, there was a large stakeholders meeting for the downstream sector. That was also attended by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo. Also, the IG of Police was there. the executives of the Nigerian Customs Service, EFCC, and other government security agencies were at that session. Indeed, all the players in the downstream sector, the marketers, the transporters, and depot owners were also all there. And it was all agreed by all that we need to bring this scarcity and the fuel queues being experienced by Nigerians to an end immediately. Last Friday, 2 days ago, the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Tim Silva, was in Lagos. I accompanied my Honorable Minister to Lagos, and we saw that Lagos queues have really gone, save for some fringe areas like Badagry, where we still have some queues. But Lagos mainland, Lagos Island, we touched stations there, and the queues, are going in those places.
Okay.
Abuja as well, the queues have gone in Abuja, and also a number of states, are now without queue. Some have low queues, some have what they call medium queues.
Right. Okay, so you're saying things are getting better at the end of the day. But let's go to Ayo Cardoso, who is in Lagos. And thank you again for joining us tonight on the program. And Ayo, the one question Nigerians want to know from the NMDPRA is, what is the official price of fuel in the country? I ask you this because the last time the NMDPRA did read the Riot Act to marketers, you had insisted alongside the NNPC that the depot price was still at 145 naira and the official pump price was 165 or 169. I'm not sure of that figure now, but of course we've seen the price vary from state to state. From the official point of view, what is the price of a litre of petrol in Nigeria today?
Okay, good evening, Nigerians, and thank you for having me. I think I will start first to state that the initial template to determine the official price has not changed, but the factors surrounding it, the reality right now shows that particular template is not workable. So the federal government has now adjusted the template. But what is happening right now is that for reality's sake, the marketers and the oil company all come together and say, okay, this is not working. What do we do to make sure that the populace does not suffer? And they all decided that in order to have some margin, there has to be some adjustment to the official price. So if you ask me that what is the official price, what I will be telling you is that this is an adjustment on the price based on market reality and the stakeholder. Mr. Yemi actually told you just now that the meeting was held 2 weeks ago. So at that meeting, everybody comes together to decide the going price and looking at the margin that will be appropriate for the public to be able to buy fuel, and just for the marketers as well to be able to make some margins of gain. If you look at the old template, as at January, when you look at how the fuel come into this country from offshore, when you get to the Lagos offshore, you have to transport that fuel to the depot using a smaller vessel. So the cost of chartering those vessels around January was about $19,000 per day. This had gone up to about $60,000 in Lagos to Lagos. And if you look at in Warri, Port Harcourt, and Calabar, around January it was about $30,000, which has gone up to like $80,000. So the additional cost of that, translate to the biggest problem we had initially, and that's also warranted the people, all the stakeholders to come together to agree on a margin that would be workable for everybody. So I will not want to say this is the official price, but an adjustment was made on the official price, and it varied from one state to the other after the meeting. Thank you.
Well, at the end of the day, you are an official of the NMDPRA. That question was direct to you. Yes, you've explained the situation with the marketers and even from, your point of view. But at the end of the day, we're seeing official price before was 100 and how much? here we are. People are paying as much as 500 naira per litre. You say there was an adjustment. So what exactly is this adjustment, and how much are people supposed to pay for this product? And also marry that with the fact that I remember the NMDPRA had read the Riot Act to marketers, and you threatened to actually cancel some people's licenses if they don't stick with what was agreed. But yet, no reports of that. So bring us up to speed concerning these 2 points.
Yes, what I can assure you is that you will have uniform prices in different locations, and this was what was agreed upon at the meeting. So in Lagos, for example, now we used to have the issue of majors selling at one price and the IPMA selling at another price. All this will now merge. For Lagos, there will be a uniform price based on what was agreed, and in other states as well. That is what I can assure you. And for us, we will just base our enforcement on those adjusted figures.
How soon should we expect this improvement? When are we having this uniform price?
Yeah, right now, all the majors are fully compliant. They've complied fully. Anywhere you go to any major station, the moment is uniform price and NNPC. But it's the IPMA that we're having some issues with. But we had a meeting with them, and we wrap up our enforcement from Monday. And I can assure you that they will all adjust, because the ex-depot prices has also been adjusted. So, and they also have opportunity to load directly from NNPC. So those the bottleneck for them to get product at higher prices has also been addressed by NNPC. So we are expecting that they will also comply with the agreed price. And for example, Lagos is now okay. I did a spot check of about 42 stations today, and they all have fuel. So if everybody is having fuel, the IPMA will also have to adjust to the reality, because when there are no fuel crisis and people are getting fuel easily, then there's no point for you to sell at a higher price. You will not be able to sell your product, because customer can just move to another station and buy fuel. For Lagos right now, as of today, the spot check that we did, about 42 stations, we have 35 stations without any queues.
Without any queues, but can you confirm to us how much you're paying? That question you'd have to answer the next time we'll come back to you, because now we need to come back to Yemi Adetunji, who's here in our Abuja studios. Well, Yemi, the last time the NNPC actually said once subsidy is taken away, Nigerians will have to pay as high as 400 naira per litre for petroleum products. But here we are, some people are even paying higher than that right now. So one would say that doomsday, which the NNPC has been trying to avert by continuing with the subsidy regime, it's already here and living with us. Would you say it's time for us now to really think removing subsidy, and not just saying it, but really acting and doing it?
So the issue of subsidy removal is a state policy. Every country has state policies. In some countries, you have the social security. In some countries, you subsidize agriculture, and whatever the state, decides, to support, as part of the economic and social infrastructure for the country. In Nigeria, as of today, petrol subsidy is still there. Now, the state also, by the 2023 budget, has provided for subsidy only for the first 6 months of this year. Technically, directionally, the state also is saying that Nigeria state is saying that subsidy will go, by that. But again, that's for the federal government, to decide, when that will happen. But having said that, just again back to the issue of, in terms of availability of petrol, we do know that there are 3 major interventions that we are taking, from the meeting of last weekend, so 2 weeks ago. And from all that we are doing. One is what I call operational management, which basically looks like ensuring that all along the distribution value chain, there is free flow of activities. That's the first thing. The second one is what my brother, Mr. Engineer Cardoso mentioned. That is regulatory compliance, which has been done. And the third, aspect of that intervention is security oversight, and that's where the Chief of Defence Staff and the IG of police and the EFCC and other government security agencies, come into play. If you also recall that an interministerial committee has been set up, to ensure that, this is being tackled and we get over, these fuel queues once and for all and forever in Nigeria. So all of those things are yielding fruits, like I said, and we're seeing good leads of life. Even like Mr. Cardoso said, prices have even come down significantly. Yes, you're right. In some places we have spent 500 naira per liter, but today from our survey, prices have gone down to as low as 350 in some places. But NNPC is pushing out more products. We are also working with IPMAN to ensure that they get direct, supply, what you call bulk supply from NNPC, in addition to what they get at the depots. All of these are also part of what IPAM says. They are going to put in place a monitoring, system for their members to ensure that they are compliant. So it's not only the regulator ensuring compliance, even the various body associations, whether IPMAN, MOMAN, DAPMAN, are ensuring that the members do comply. And with all of this, we believe that, fuel queues and those pricing will be addressed. Thank you.
I'm happy you really touched on the issue of compliance, because what we've seen over time in Nigeria is that then there is an instruction to them, but then compliance, when it comes to that level of compliance, everybody goes their separate ways, and then some may even decide not to sell at all. They pretend they don't have fuel, But then let's also go back to the issue of subsidy. I don't want us to look away from that. You would wonder why the issue of subsidy has generated so much controversy. And an average Nigerian, not the elites now, an average Nigerian, the masses are beginning to think that subsidy is a game plan from the government to just hoodwink the people, the masses. So again, we ask you on Newsnight tonight, what are your recommendations if subsidy is going to be removed?
Basically, subsidy is going to be removed. Government has a plan, a holistic plan, around that. I'm not at liberty, to discuss all of that at this meeting. But indeed, there will be plans to cushion the effect, of the adjustment that will happen when subsidy is removed. Because we know that there will be inflationary derivatives, of that action. So all of that, there'll be plans, to ensure that Nigerians, especially the low-income Nigerians, don't feel the pain, that much.
Right. Well, let's go back to Ayo, who is in Lagos. Ayo, I come again with the issue of pricing with you, because messages now that we're receiving, especially on socials, Nigerians want to know from you, the regulator, how much they're supposed to be paying. And also, the NMDPRA, like I said earlier on, you had said you're going to sanction those who are not complying with lay-down agreements. Even just last week, there was a statement by IPMAN where they said, don't sell. And eventually they withdrew that and said, sell again. All of this happening with Nigerians going through the most. How many people have you sanctioned for not doing the right thing? And yeah, let's get that official price. You said it's readjusted to different regions. At least give us the official rate. Nigerians are really curious to get that from you, sir.
Okay, once again, I would like to let you know that just like I mentioned before, government has not categorically come out and said they have changed the price. What is happening is just an adjustment to market reality, and is actually based on business decisions and for the marketers to have some margins. So for us in NMDPRA is just to ensure that the whole place is wet, and that we enforce compliance to agreed principle after the meeting. So I cannot come and tell you here right now that this is the official price, but the pump price has been adjusted based on market reality, and that is what we are following. And all the stakeholders were present at that meeting. So it's that agreement which the prices vary from one state to the other. So that is what we are going to monitor, and we assure that there's no other dispensing. You sell according to what is agreed upon. If government wants to come out and say this is the official price, that will be done by the right quarters. Thank you.
Mr. Cardoso.
Sorry about that. Yeah. One leg to that question that you didn't respond. I asked you about at least one marketer or depot owner who have been sanctioned for not doing the right thing. Because both you and Mr. Yemi, you both agree that, you know, there's a sabotage going on. That's why Nigerians have suffered for almost 5 months, even though it's easing now. Who have you sanctioned?
Okay, we've sanctioned quite a number of stations. I will start from depot. You remember that around December we sanctioned about 7 depots across the country, and in retail outlet we have sanctioned over 300 retail outlets, and we are not stopping at that. And also during crisis we also kind of look at the way we sanction them, either to shut down or you pay some penalty so that we will not compound the problem. But in normal conditions that there are no issues, we give you, once we sanction you, we go through the whole length of what you need to do. For example, during the heat of the crisis, there are some states that we sanction and people we shut down a lot of filling stations. We have to go back again and look at the implication of what we have done, and so that if they are not add more to the hardship of people, so slight adjustments were made. But with going forward, we don't have much problem with queues now. So proper sanction will be given to any airing stations or depot.
Yes, Mr. Cardoso, yeah, I have to cut in, all right? Now, you mentioned shutting down certain filling stations because they didn't comply, right? Hardly would you hear that a certain filling station was shut down for that reason. Do you want to expatiate on this? A filling station was shut down for non-compliance.
Yes.
We hardly hear of any filling station being shut.
Okay, what you are saying that you have not heard about any station being shut down. There are quite a number of stations that we have shut down. I was saying that we shut down about 300 during this crisis. But maybe it's not reported, but we don't shut down stations and go and report them. But each time we shut down depot, because they are big, you are bound to know. We shut down 7 depots across the nation, and people know about it because those are big facilities. But stations, when you shut down 1 or 2 stations, we don't go reporting it. But we have the statistics of what we do in every state. We collect each state what is happening on a daily basis, and we know what they are selling. And if there are issues to shut down any station, it's also reported on the template. So we know quite a number of stations that were shut down during that crisis. And I was saying that during that crisis as well, we shut down some stations in some states, and we found out that we need to rethink about it because the president wanted to visit that state, and we had to go back and reopen them just for the president visit and sanction them properly. So we look at all these things, the implication of shutting down stations, yes.
Yeah, we have to look at the implications because Nigerians at the end of the day have suffered enough. And as we wrap up this conversation, Yemi, let me come to you real quick. Well, some are of the opinions that if our local refineries were up and running, won't be seeing this perennial fuel scarcity that Nigerians have experienced since last year, even onto this year. So silver bullet, you know, having our own refineries back on track. I do know that there's rehabilitation going on in some of your facilities. Quickly, help us talk about that as we wrap this up.
Thank you very much. So for the 3 refineries, Port Harcourt started 2021, and with that, we expect that the old Port Harcourt refineries at 6,000 barrels per day should come back on stream in Q2 of this year. Warri should be late this year, early next year, but let's say Q1 2024. And the Kaduna refinery, we just signed, you know, the contract for the rehabilitation of the Kaduna refinery. That will take 21 months, you know, to come back. So that's on the state of refineries. In terms of the depots, we showed that also the pipeline issue we've had with vandalism along the pipeline, we're also working on those. As recent as this week that just passed, we brought back the Atlas Cove to satellite depot pipeline, the segment of what we call System 2B. We brought it back, and all things are in place to ensure that from tomorrow we'll start to load out trucks from the satellite depot satellite depot around in Lagos State. We are going to extend that, to other parts, going to Mosimi, and indeed other pipeline systems are being worked on, preparatory to having the build, operate, and transfer scheme that we have to do a comprehensive rehabilitation again of all the pipeline and the depots. So we're also working on those.
So local refining is what you're saying is the silver bullet we need at this moment.
Local refining, also distribution network, like we said. Today, all our petroleum products are trucked, moved throughout the country through trucks. But the depots and the pipeline also have to be in place.
All right. Good place to say thank you, gentlemen, for helping us unpack. And of course, you came bearing good news that the country will be wet soon, all thanks to all the releases from the NNPC Limited. Yemi Adetunji, Executive Vice President, Downstream NNPC Limited, as well as Ayo Cardoso, who of course is in charge of Southwestern region of Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.